Have you ever wondered what it's going to take for your kids not to be the iPad child? Have you ever wondered how in the world can I get my kids to do other things? If these are questions that have been something on your mind as a parent or as a guardian, watch this video. Hey everyone, welcome back to Parenting is Easy. I'm your host, Chananya Abraham, and today we're going to have a short video talking about the 3 most important things that we can do as parents to make it that our kids are not going to be the iPad child. That their face is not going to turn into an iPad. That they're not going to be that kid that's going to constantly just be there, that couch potato, or the nowadays what we might say as the iPad child. So what can we do? How can we make sure that our kids are going to be set up for life, that they can use electronics properly, but they're not going to be dependent on it or turn into that child that is going to be completely consumed by electronics and gaming at all times? First, before we start going through the 3 most important things, if you like this topic or if you have other specific topics, please subscribe below. If you have any questions, please comment below. And maybe there can be something that you and I can talk about specifically when it comes to your children. You can click on the link below as well so we can set up a meeting to talk about these issues a little further. The first thing that we must do to make sure that our kids are not going to be the iPad faces is to turn off your phone. Kids constantly watch us and they mirror our every move. It is so important to make sure that we have a way of going about our electronic use, that they are going to watch everything that we do. So if the second we come into the house, we're already on our phones because we didn't get a chance to look at our phones all day because we were working, then they're going to say, hey, I could come to the house and I could be on the phone. Or as dinner's getting ready, I could be catching up on the news feed because I didn't see anything for the entire day. Or as I'm getting ready for the water to get hot, I'm on my phone. If our kids are going to see us do that, then they're going to do that. So the first and most important thing is to remember is to get off your phone. Let them see that they're able to have a life. They can converse with others. They can get out on Sundays. They can put Saturdays on their list of things to do with others instead of just being in a home, doing things with their phone. If they see us doing other things, they will do other things as well. So the number 1 rule is get off your phone yourself. Number 2, I think this is also really, really important when it comes to making sure that our kids don't turn into iPad faces. Have alternatives. You know, there's a concept that we talk about in psychology that if you want to replace a behavior or even a memory or a thought process, you have to replace it with something else. When it comes to electronics, it works the same exact way. So if you want to make sure that your kids are going to not be on their phones at all times, give them something else to do. Now, this is very, very important to remember that it's not about, well, if I wasn't on my phone, I'd be exercising. That doesn't mean that you should be buying a treadmill for your kids, because that's not what they might need. Remember to parent for what the child needs and not for what you think they need. Doing what they need is really, really, really important, but for what they need, not for what you need them to have. Now, there is obviously a place where as a parent, as a guardian, we get to decide what it is that they do and how they go about things. If we're going to leave everything up to them, then they're never going to go to doctors. They're never going to eat the right foods. They're not going to have a curfew. They're never going to go to school. So it's important to have a balance when it comes to their agency and us taking care of them. But when it comes to electronics specifically, don't just say, well, get off your electronics and go outside. That's not going to help. That's not going to work. We have to be able to have alternatives for them, whether it's knitting, whether it's some other hobby like building Lego or building model airplanes. Find the thing that works for them, that they like doing. Be curious with them. Help them discover what they can do outside of electronics that can be beneficial to them. That's only going to happen if you work together with them. So come up with alternatives that are going to be really, really helpful for them. That's going to get them away from that iPad. And that's rule number 2. Now, for the last one, rule number 3. Now, I want to make this very, very clear before we go through number 3 over here. We're not saying that electronics are not good. Electronics are great. They help us in so many ways. But what we're trying to do is to create a balance. And to go specifically into the addictions behind electronics and how it's something that can be really, really detrimental, please click the link over here that talks specifically about the addictions and how we can have these electronic behaviors that are so negatively affecting our children, how that's something that we can work with. So we're not saying that there's not an issue, but there's ways around it. So whether it's mirroring, like we talked about in rule number 1, whether it's having alternatives as rule number 2, or rule number 3, having specific times that they are going to use, or more importantly, not use electronics. Let's start with something very simple. Around the dinner table, there should be no electronics when it comes to food, and there should not be a correlation. You can watch some great videos online of people that came up with some great tricks. Let's say you go out to eat with friends and everyone puts their phone in the middle of the table, and whoever picks it up first is the one that has to pick up the tab. Or you can have some sort of way of saying, well, around here, we don't have that. Everyone has to leave it in their rooms. Everyone has to leave it plugged in. Maybe around bedtime, no one, including the parents, should be taking their phones into their room and charging it within arm's length of where they are in the room, because that is showing that there is an overlap between doing everything at home with electronics. But if we make a specific set way of doing things, so whether it's certain times on Sunday, let's say before 2 o'clock, there's no electronic use, or around the dinner table, or maybe in the car, there could be no set way that this is what we do as a family, but make it something that this is when we do things and this is when we don't do things. And when you make it more structured, then it becomes something like, okay, I'm able to use my phone here. That's great. But around here, we don't do it. And you'll start seeing that when they go out with their friends, well, in my family, we don't use it in the cars. So I know we're going to the game together. So I'm not going to use it in the car because that's what I'm used to. And that'll become something that we all get to do together. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a healthy way of living life and a balance with their electronics. So make sure that you have alternatives and ways of going about it, not just regarding the things that they should be doing, but how they actually use the device itself. Do it in a way where the things that they're trying to do, they can do it healthily. So if they're going to use it constantly, it's not going to be healthy. Make it something that you can do together with them. Put the whole family on a track in a way that, hey, this is part of our life, but let's do it structured. If you like this video, if you have any ideas for future videos, please comment below. Reach out to us at parentingiseasypodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you are listening to this. I am your host, Chananya Abraham, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.